we would have had no idea who Plato was. His ideals, and a lot of what we've discussed and articulated would have all been pointless. At some point, I came across several articles that all discussed the same issue that I also had realized. The one in which was the most basic presented the facts that I needed to elaborate on cuneiform. According to Jennifer Stock, quote, around 3100 BCE, scribes began to use a pointed reed with a triangular-shaped tip known as a stylus to create the symbols on the soft clay tablets. The resulting series of wedge-shaped impressions became known as cuneiform, from the Latin words cuneus, meaning wedge, and forma, meaning shape. Cuneiform is one of the earliest known systems of writing. Today, I am going to visit the Met to see these artifacts for myself. Carol F. Justice talks about cuneiform's language itself. She states, quote, this system of writing, thus easily recorded a language with consonant vowel sound patterns and consonant clusters in the middle of a word, but not words which began or end with consonant clusters like st or sk, as in English, stop, skate, nest, or even desk. Carol also discusses the slow evolution of cuneiform. She says, quote, the forerunners of the earliest cuneiform tablets were quote-unquote impressed tablets. Tablets impressed first, not by the stylus, which came to be used to write cuneiform, but by small clay artifacts known as tokens. The token impressed tablets were economic documents recording amounts of various commodities that the society stored or transferred. Discrete symbols for commodities, such as sheep, barley, or jugs of wine and oil, were impressed onto the tablet. I was personally very impressed with what I am seeing. It's hard to imagine that thousands, literally thousands of years ago, this is how people did things like scribe laws and document mathematics. It's incredible. Stock also builds on the development of this technology, stating, quote, by the 2nd millennium BCE, cuneiform was the universal system used for written communication through the nations of the Middle East. The Syrian kingdom of Ugarit created a simplified version of cuneiform using 30 to 32 characters representing alphabetic sounds in the 13th century BCE. Postman doesn't bother to reflect on anything before the time of Socrates. Let's skip forward to page 21 of Amusing Ourselves to Death, where I'm going to quote something very specific. A third example of the influence of media on our epistemologies can be drawn from the trial of the great Socrates. He completely skips forward anything in relation to where all of this media issues have begun. I mean, let's face it, without this prior knowledge that I presented today, there's no way of telling where all this despair rooted from in the first place. And it doesn't stop there. Remember Manuel? His ideas are based solely on the historical aspects of print and writing, and he barely touches on the Mesopotamians' use of documentation. Here I have a very familiar article by Alberto Manuel called The Shape of the Book, one in which we've discussed multiple times in classes. However, although he talks slightly about writing in its earliest form, which would be cuneiform, he skips right past that without batting an eye and starts talking about Plato. The main reason I decided to do this was because I was confused, lost, wondering how can we even build such topics like public discourse between manuscripts and mobile phones without seeing where this all really started. Today, I found out where this all is truly rooted. Because let's face it, without this being our history, none of what we've discussed over the last 4 months would make any sense whatsoever. And on that note, I hope I've solved this mystery, once and for all.
Hello, it's me.